Hello friends, myself Shriram Korde. Now we would like to understand how do we deal with binary files. So here you can now see I have basically declared a structure, and the structure is basically an employee structure where you will have the name of employee, then the age of the employee, and say salary of the employee. Now the aim of this, basically the video that we are trying to do, is like how do I use FWrite function. That means I want to create a binary file. So first thing is that we will do is we would like to create a binary file, and I can consider that binary file with an extension of .dat. That means it's a data file. Okay, so now having explained this, we now need to basically write something to this file, that is employee.dat. That means we need to take input from user. So that is the first thing, we need to take input from user. The second thing is we would like to write to the file, and as I mentioned to you in previous videos where I explained to you text and binary files, that means now here when we talk about age, salary, and probably if you have more things as part of record of an employee, then obviously there will be much more numbers. So when we want to store the numbers, then the binary file basically are efficient or better at doing that. So that's the important thing that already was mentioned to you in the previous videos. So now here, that means now when I do take input, that means when I do scanf, then I would like to use this fwrite function, and then in such a way that it is going to store, or it's going to basically store it in the binary format. Okay, so that's the important thing. So to deal with that, obviously here I have just made a fp pointer which we are used to it, and then I just have created one employee instance. Okay, that means the variable of type struct employee. So that I have done, and then I'm going to basically create a file, say employee.dat, and here now you can see I'm using wb. That means here now I want to, the mode is write, and then it's a binary file. Okay, so that is very important. That's why I'm using wb. Again, this has been explained in one of our previous video. So wb is what basically will be a binary file. So once again we open the file using fopen. So there is no change here with respect to opening step. Again we check whether it is null, that means fp is null, then obviously we exit out, and for that I have already included here standard lib, so that again we know. Now comes the thing is, now we need to write the code in such a way that obviously we will give input first time, and then if you want to keep on giving the input, then because one input can be given, that means for each employee you can give the input, and if you want, as long as you want to give input, you should be able to give. That means we would like to write a loop code, and the loop code can be written using do while loop. Why? Because do while means at least once it is going to execute, and then as part of while, or as part of checking, we can ask whether you want to continue or not. So if that particular approach we want to take, then I can simply write here a do while loop, and here I will simply have here do while. Okay, and then let me just put a semicolon, and now here I just have made one more. Okay, that means do you want to continue, do you want to continue, like that. Okay, so that means you want to have one more time, like that. Okay, so that's the way typically, or another entry do you want to do, one more entry, like that. Okay, so that is what the thought process is. Okay, so if now I want to take input from user, so obviously I have to tell user printf, say backslash, and I can do, and then I will say enter name of employee, then age of employee, and uh, and say salary. Okay, so that is what we want user to enter. So needless to mention, obviously we will now do scanf. Okay, and then using this scanf we are going to do scanning of the name, that means the first one, then the second one will be the age, and then the percentage f for the float. Okay, after that I will use this structure because I already have done e, I have created this, so I will use this e dot name, then ampersand e dot age, and ampersand e dot salary. So this will give us the record for one particular employee whose name we will provide. Okay. Now the important thing is that now this whatever the user has inputted, we would like it to be stored in this file, which is employee.dat. So for that, now as I mentioned to you, we are going to use this fwrite function. Now this fwrite function basically is going to, when we are going to use that, then essentially we are going to tell from where, that means where the data is available. So that is what basically we are going to use here. That is the first parameter. The second one is it requires the size. Okay, and then we are supposed to provide how many elements are there as such. So obviously here there is only one, and then because only one record we are writing, and then obviously the last parameter is the fp. Okay, that is the this one. So we will now provide that input. So here the first thing is we are going to give the address. So we are going to give the address of this one, the structure, because as I told you, it's a pointer to buffer. So obviously this is the ampersand e. Then we are going to use this size of. I already have taught this one to you people. So size of, we know the way in which we do size of integer, we do size of character or float and things like that. So on the similar lines here we can do size of basically the struct employee. So that is what we will do. So that means we will do it for size of e, and then how many are there, element count obviously is 1 as I mentioned to you earlier, and then the last parameter is fp. Okay, so this is now going to write the information that user will enter after we do scanf. So once we are done with this, now we will ask user whether you want to continue. So here we will say printf, and then we will ask user, do you want to add another record? Okay, so we can simply say want to add another record of employee essentially, and we will say yes comma no. Okay, so that we could put it even in bracket, so it doesn't matter y comma, and that means basically we are going to check if it is y, then only we will continue, otherwise we will not. Now we want to take this character y, or that means we are interested in y. Only when he says y, then only we need to continue, otherwise there is no need to continue. So to do that, I have already told you, like one more I am going to use. Now here I am going to use the function which is part of conio.h, and here we are not going to use scanf because scanf many times doesn't work properly in the loop. So we will do here one more. So that is the one more is equal to, and then we will say get ch. Okay, so this already we have covered this function earlier. So we will say get ch, we can do get che also, doesn't matter. Okay, so here we can even try get che, it's going to echo, that's the only difference. Okay, and then we will basically have this one more is equal to the small y. So only when this is equal to y, it will continue, it will, that means you can provide another record. Okay, so to check now this working, we will run this code. So now you can see it is asking us to enter name, age and salary. So let me just say John is the name of the person, age is say 30, and his salary is, let's say, 50,000 Indian rupees monthly. Okay, then you want to say, do you want to add another record? Okay, I will say yes, and then basically I will add another person, say Charles, then age is say 40, and say its salary is say 60,000. Okay, now we'll say no or some other, that means, so it is going to terminate. Now the how do I check? So obviously for checking I have to write a program where I will now do the corollary of fwrite, and that we will obviously do that. Okay, so now we will have to see whether that function employee dot data is created. So you can see this is coming, and it says that you cannot open it. Why? Because now it is not, it's a binary file. It says that file is not displayed in the text editor because it is either a binary or whatever. So essentially it's a binary file because we know we only created it. Okay, so this is a binary file. Now what we need to do is, so this is the first thing, and we already have, we know that we entered two records, that means Charles and John. I believe that those are the two names we did it. So as part of the second program which we will develop now, where we will read this file which is employee.dat. Okay, so let's do that now. So here I have kept few things ready. So once again you will see this is the structure, because that we need to know now. It's essentially a structure that we are storing. So obviously when we are going to read, we should know what we need to read. Okay, so that's very important. So now we are going to make use of the complementary function to fwrite, because here we use fwrite. Okay, so now here there is a for binary stuff it is fread. Okay, so it's going to read record from the binary file. So once again E is kept ready, so that I have created the variable of type struct employee, and then we will open the same file which we just created some time back, and now here it is read mode and binary file. Okay, so essentially it's a read and binary. Sorry, that is the mode is read mode. Okay, and binary file. Okay, and then obviously we have included standard lib and all that, which is for the exit. Okay, and then putS is used, which says it cannot open the file in case fp fails. Okay, so after doing this, now what we now need to do is we will be using fread function. Okay, so let me just tell you what is fread. Now here if I want to use fread, so this fread function, again it takes the buffer, that is where you want to read, then the size of that. So once again we will do size of whatever we have just done, then how many reads you want to do, so obviously one, and then the basically the pointer, that is the file pointer. Okay, so we will now do that particular thing, and I will pass here ampersand of e comma size of e, which I told you earlier I have used. So size of e, and then 1, and then the file pointer. Okay, now what is happening, there may be multiple records, so if I just do once, it is going to read first record, so which we don't want. So what should be done, basically we will have a while fread. Okay, so if I just do while fread, okay, and here then I will simply say if it is 1, that means essentially we are keeping track of that, because I told you like this particular thing is tracked in the previous video. I have told you the behavior, how fread and fwrite works. So here we want it should at least return 1, otherwise the file has ended. Okay, so 1 in the sense because it's not going to be end of file. Okay, because the end of file was for with respect to the text file. So here we have to check how many characters it is reading. It keeps track internally. Okay, so at least it should be 1. Okay, that means read is essentially one record. Okay, so that is what we have said. So read one record, that means read one struct at a time. Struct, that means essentially it's a record, read one record. So once you read, obviously it is going to populate into E, and now we will use this printf. So we have ready-made printf here. Instead of this, I can simply use this, and then we will convert it into printf. We'll put here \n, and then this is age, and then this is salary. Okay, and then obviously in the end we are going to close. Here obviously there is no need to use curly bracket, I just have used it. Okay, so the main thing is fread. This is very important, fread. Okay, and you will see it returns size t. Okay, so that's why it is one at a time. That's what I told you, it should return 1. It's going to keep track. Okay, the return is very important. So now let's run this code, and now we are going to read whatever we basically have tried putting earlier. Okay, and I hope there is \n. You can put here also \n. Yeah, so you can see this John and Charles has come. It's again there is a in between \n I added. That's why you will see the one that empty line has come. So you can see John 30, 50,000 rupees Indian rupees I gave his salary, and then Charles and this one. Okay, so now simultaneously we can now run this. So let me now run this function first. I will run this so that we get an idea that it is working perfectly. Now let me enter the age, salary, and this one. Okay, so let's say that now this time I enter some Indian name Ramki. Say age is say 24, and say salary is 40,000. Then yes, I will say yes. Then I will enter the name, say Krishna, say 35, and say salary is 50k, 50,000. You want to add another record? Okay, I said yes. So let's say Ramya, say 35, and say she is a secretary. So let's say something like office work. Okay. Now I will say no. And now I will run this code. So let me run this code. Yeah. So you say it has come Ramki, Krishna, and Ramya. All has come. So that's the way typically you work with binary files. Essentially, the main crux of the thing is you basically create a binary file which cannot be opened in a editor, because if I try to show you this and open it, so if I just quickly try and show you this. Yeah, I think it's somewhere in different path. Yeah, it's there. Okay. So let me just try and open it in a notepad and show it to you. Then you will see something like this is there. So that means it's essentially you can see some few things, Krishna and all that, but the numbers you can't see. So that's why this is a binary file. So important point here is basically we just continue the way in which we work with text files. So fopen works there, fclose also it works same thing. Only thing is that now we rely on fread and fwrite. That is what basically help us to do that, and then we appropriately use it with respect to the numbers, so that we basically can optimize on storing the records. I hope you like this examples. Thank you.